Hi everyone, and welcome to our Solidworks Essential Training Classes Lesson 3. In today's class, we'll be taking a look onto the other sketch functions and using dimensioning to fully define our sketches. As in our previous lessons, we will go File New to open up a new document. From here, we'll be working in the part document environment. Today, we will be sketching on the right hand plane. After doing this, we are now going to sketch with using rectangles. Under the line tab, you see that we've got a rectangle option. It's also got a drop down function and giving us corner rectangle, center rectangle, 3-point corner rectangle, 3-point center rectangle, and a parallelogram. We will be taking a look at all of these. So let's start it off with a corner rectangle. Once I've selected that, please note that our mouse cursor has changed to a pencil again and that it's showing a rectangle shape. To start drawing a rectangle, we select on the screen once and then we pull our mouse to a side, selecting again. We can now see that Solidworks have drawn us a rectangle. We can also see that this rectangle is blue in color. This once again means that the sketch is undefined. To define the sketch, we will be using Smart Dimensions. To use it, we will activate it and we will select the first line. Let's create this to be 100 long. Secondly, we will select the other side of the rectangle and also make that 100 millimeter long. We see that our square is still blue, meaning underdefined. The reason for this is the rectangle is still free to move within the space. Now, as in our previous lessons, we've got a few options. We can either smart dimension from the corner, or we are able to select the point and link it up with the 0, 0. This would now fully define our sketch. The other way to do it, as I mentioned, is to use Smart Dimension and from the center to a line, add a size of half of the square. And we'll use Smart Dimensions again from the center to the line to create another size of 50. This would also fully define our sketch. And please note that it is not necessary to use exactly half of the squares. You are able to have this size to any size you require. This is the way to fully define our sketches. If we delete the square and we use the second square function, the center rectangle. The center rectangle is drawn from the center of the rectangle using only one half of the square. Selecting the center or point of our drawing plane, we are able to now draw a square which would stay center to the 0, 0 point. If we now go and dimension the square to be 100 by 100, we see that our sketch is fully defined without using the dimensioning from the 0, 0. This makes it a very user-friendly function to use. If we look at the third option that we've got, a 3-point corner rectangle, the way to use this is to first draw the length and then the width of either your square or rectangle. To start, we will select, pull to a side, and then pull the third side. From here we are able to smart dimension the lines to be again 100 by 100, and we are able to either give it a size to this line and to the other, or we are just able to select one of the points and link it up with the 0, 0. Let's delete this again. One of the other square functions that we've got is the 3-point center rectangle. Same as the centered rectangle, we can start straight from the 0, 0 point, clicking once, moving to a side, and then moving to create the second side of the sketch. We are now able to smart dimension this to be 100 by 100 square. As you might have noticed, we are able to use this not just to only draw squares, but we are able, as the function said, to draw rectangles. So if we draw a rectangle of 500 by 5 meter, we are able to draw rectangles. The last function that we see within this rectangle options are the parallelogram. This is a very easy function to use, and we are able to draw the one corner, and now we are able to draw a parallelogram to each side. Note that you can draw a square or a rectangle using this function, but it will not give you a link to have these lines in a perfect straight line. Before continuing with the other sketch functions, I would like to show you how to use points within even a rectangle sketch. So let's go ahead and draw a corner rectangle. After drawing our rectangle and giving it, let's create a rectangle of 150 by 50. Note that the size became very small. The reason for this is that we have entered our previous rectangle to be a very large field or very large size. To correct this, we can just use the magnifying glass in the center top of our screen, the zoom to fit. This will give it a better size. Also remember that you are able to zoom with your mouse to have it closer. After doing this, let's go use the points rather than dimensioning half to each size to get our sketch fully defined. We are able to go and select point, and after holding it on the center of the line, we will see a yellow block appear in the center of the line. Let's go ahead and select, creating a point in the center of that line. Let's go ahead and do that with the second line as well. We see that we have now created points in the centers of these lines. Now let's use a function of the previous lesson we did, and we will select the center of the sketch. We will keep in control on our keyboard, and we will select one of the midpoints. We now see that the properties tab has opened on the left. Now we are able to select it to either be horizontal, vertical, or coincident. Horizontal would create the sketch to go down to be horizontal with 0, 0. So the best option that we would have here is to have it vertical. Note that the sketch has moved and our sidelines have turned black to show that they are defined. Let's go ahead and do that with the other point as well. We'll select the center and we will select the point. In the properties tab on the left, we can now create those to be horizontal with each other. We now note that our sketch is fully defined. Once again, we will go and we will delete the sketch. Please note that we are also able to sketch circles. After selecting circle, we see that our mouse pointer is showing the circle tab. We can now go and select, pull to a side and select it again to create our circle. Please note that if your program does not throw out this dimensioning, don't worry. You are able to select Smart Dimension, select your circle, pull to a side, and you are able to enter a desired size. We still see that our circle is undefined. To correct this, we can either still once again dimension from the 0 point, or we are able to move the circle and connect it to the point. We now see that our sketch is fully defined. One of the other circle functions that we've got is a perimeter circle. This works within 3 points. So if we start the first point, we start the second point, and we can select the third point. Note that we can now smart dimension the circle, and let's go ahead and make it 80 in diameter. Once again, we can either move this joining it to the 0, 0 point, or we are able to smart dimension it to have our sketch fully defined. Thank you for watching.